I want to talk about overcoming anxiety and calming the nervous system from the yoga perspective, from this deep, ancient healing science. Most people think anxiety is random. It's not. Your anxiety is coming from living in survival mode every single day. It's the pressure to get ahead before you fall behind. It's the fear of losing money or a job that's draining your soul. It's the constant comparison. It's the fear of failure, the fear of missing out. And so it's often this fear that you're not successful enough. Maybe you're not productive enough, wealthy enough, attractive enough, or accomplished enough. And beneath all of that is one terrifying feeling. What if I never become who I'm supposed to be or the best version of myself? So your nervous system never fully relaxes. Even when you're resting, your body still feels like it's in fighting for survival. Now, most people from all walks of life and background are chasing expectations that they've inherited from society, family, social media, or fear. They're really running on a treadmill of achievement, hoping that someday their success will finally make them feel safe. But anxiety is what happens when your soul is moving in one direction and your life is moving in another direction. Now, as a yoga therapist and an Ayurvedic practitioner, I want to give you a complete three-step solution rooted in this ancient secret of yoga philosophy so you can shift your body out of fight or flight and into the state of complete trust and ease. All right, so let's dive in. Now, first of all, I suffered from a lot of anxiety myself. I had a lot of panic attacks and other conditions related to anxiety. And around 21 years ago, I hit a wall. I was just lost. I was anxious. I was really uncertain about my future. I eventually left everything behind and I spent 40 days in silence and meditation in India, in the foothills of the Himalayas. And it was an amazing experience. And what I discovered changed my life forever. I discovered that the opposite of anxiety is not achievement. The opposite of anxiety is alignment. And so in yoga philosophy, that alignment is called Dharma, your unique path, your soul's blueprint. So let's get into this powerful three-step process to calm your nervous system, reconnect to your purpose, especially through realignment, and really finally to live without that constant fear and anxiety. You see, we're living in a world that constantly tells us that we are behind, right? Social media tells you someone else is more successful. The economy tells you that your security could disappear overnight. And your conditioning tells you that your worth is dependent on performance. So what happens is the mind becomes trapped in this future-based fear. What if I fail? What if I lose everything? What if people judge me? Or what if I never figure my life out? So when your identity becomes attached to external outcomes like money, status, career, validation, your nervous system treats life itself like a threat, okay? Now, this is why so many people feel exhausted, stressed, burnt out, anxious, and really emotionally numb. Because your body was never designed to live in this chronic psychological warfare. And in yoga therapy, we understand that anxiety is not just mental, it's energetic, it's biological, emotional, and spiritual. And so when you move away from your true nature, the body creates friction. And that friction becomes tension. And that tension becomes anxiety. And you can feel it, right? You can feel it in the tight shoulders, the racing thoughts, shallow breath, gut issues, fatigue, insomnia, and in that constant overthinking. Okay, so your body is not betraying you, it's just communicating with you. And so to heal anxiety at the root, we must stop treating symptoms and start restoring alignment. So again, in yoga, Dharma means living in harmony with your true nature. And when you live in alignment with who you truly are, your nervous system stops fighting reality. And so here are the 3 steps. Now, step number 1, stop living according to unconscious expectations. Now, you'll often hear your inner voice say, I should make more money, I should have everything figured out by now, I should be more successful, or I should be further ahead. But most of us never stop long enough to ask ourselves whether the life they are chasing actually belongs to them. The Bhagavad Gita says, it's better to live your own destiny imperfectly than to live an imitation of somebody else's life perfectly. Okay, so this is one of the deepest teachings on mental health ever spoken. It comes from that ancient text. Now, because anxiety grows whenever you betray yourself to fit into someone else's model of success, this is where anxiety continues to grow. And so healing begins when you stop performing and start being who you really are, doing your duties and what you're good at. And the best way you can do that is really without expectations. All right, moving on to step number 2. So in Ayurveda, every person is born with a unique constitution called Prakriti. And this is your natural energetic design. Some people are creators. I mean, we're all creators, but some people are focused on creating certain things. Some are healers, some are leaders, some are visionaries, some are teachers. But modern society forces everyone into this similar system, right? Hustle harder, produce more, compete constantly, and ignore your intuition. And so when your outer life contradicts your inner nature, what happens? Anxiety appears. Your body knows when you're living out of alignment. And this is why people can have money, success, and status and really still feel empty inside. And I've coached many of these types of people before. Now, one of the greatest signs that you're moving towards Dharma is this. You begin to feel energized instead of depleted. You feel inspired instead of forced, and your breathing deepens. It becomes more natural. You feel that calmness. The nervous system really softens. Your mind becomes clear. You become more focused. Now, this is not coincidence. This is your biology. When you align your authentic nature by doing what inspires you, the parasympathetic nervous system activates. The body exits fight or flight and enters healing mode. Now, the final step, step number 3, is transformational. Because most anxiety comes from the ego trying to control the future. How will I survive? What if things don't work out? What if I fail? But Dharma shifts your focus from self-protection to contribution. And in yoga, this is called seva, selfless service. So when you discover your gifts and begin offering them to the world, something extraordinary happens. Life starts supporting you because you're no longer operating from fear or competition, but you're operating from purpose. And purpose reorganizes the entire nervous system. You stop obsessing over whether you're enough, right? You stop needing constant validation. You stop chasing every trend or really comparing yourself to everyone around you. You begin living your inner certainty instead of external pressure. That is freedom, my friends. And so living your Dharma does not mean life becomes perfect. It means that you stop abandoning yourself in order to survive. You begin moving through life with greater clarity, trust, and emotional resilience. And this is where yoga psychology becomes so powerful, because the real work is not just changing your circumstances. It's really rewiring the subconscious patterns that keep pulling you back into this fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of not being enough, fear of disappointing others. The deeper path of yoga is called moksha, or inner liberation. And it's the realization that your worth was never dependent on achievements. You, my friends, are already whole. And from that wholeness, true peace emerges. If you're tired of living in survival mode, if you want to really let go of that anxiety, if you're exhausted from the constant pressure to prove yourself, if you are ready to regulate your nervous system, reconnect to your purpose, and finally experience inner peace, I want to invite you deeper into this work. And so everything that I've talked about today is part of what we explore in our school community. It's part of the Yoga Map Sangha, and it's a space dedicated to nervous system healing, how to balance your circadian rhythms and sleep. It's yoga psychology, Dharma, conscious living, and of course, longevity. Remember, this is not about escaping life. It's about learning how to live in alignment with who you truly are. If you're interested, feel free to click the link below and join us inside the community. I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for being open, and thank you for choosing your healing. Peace and namaste.